Today we're going to take a little bit of a deeper look at a Pool 2 control deck which can really beat anything that's out there at the moment. It's helped a bunch of people that I've talked to recently actually get all the way to infinite. I think this deck is super strong, so stay tuned. Let's go. Hey, Milky here, back again with another video for MarvelSNAP. That's right, we're diving back into this Pool 2 control deck. I think this deck is insanely strong. I think it's only getting stronger in the current meta of Pool 2, and I wanted to share a little bit more detail around this deck with you. In a recent video, we highlighted this control deck as one of our top decks for Pool 2. I've been trying to watch the current early game meta as closely as I can, trying to pick up on some of the strongest decks people are running and how to counter those decks, and I think this deck does it incredibly well. In Pool 2 at the moment, there's dinos running rampant all over the meta, and I think this deck is an incredible way to shut down dino decks, but also do really well against the other strong decks that are out there in Pool 2. We've made a recent tweak to this deck, bringing in Enchantress over Spider-Woman. Spider-Woman was great to drop power at a location, but I think Enchantress overall provides a little bit more control and counterplay against your opponent. I'll quickly run through some of the key cards and combos in this deck and give a general overview of how it works and what it hopes to achieve. First up, we have the awesome Sunspot and Infinite combo. Now these two go together hand in hand, perfect. If you've already got Sunspot on the board, you can skip turn 5 and get an Infinite down on the board, pushing a massive 25 power across the board on 2 turns. That's definitely a great combo you can use in this deck, and people often find it really hard to play around, so just something to consider when you're playing this deck. Next up, we have a couple of early game cards which come out in Pool 2, which really control your opponent's hand. You've got Iceman, which hits you a single card in your opponent's hand, making that cost 1 extra. And then we also have Scorpion, which negatively affects all of the power in your opponent's hand, reducing all of that by 1. Storm is a really versatile card, and I think this card is really underrated most of the time. You can flip a location which might be negative to your game plan and negatively affect what you're trying to do, but you could also potentially sneak away a location while your opponent's busy doing something else on the board. There's lots of different flexible plays you can make with Storm, and I think she's a super strong pick in this deck. Killmonger's in there to wipe away all of those pesky 1-drops cards your opponent might be playing, and also do away with all the Zoo decks coming through from Pool 1. You just have to be a little bit aware to play around your own 1-drops when you've got them on the board. Jubilee is the high roll factor of this deck and a lot of fun to play. If you can roll into some of your high cost cards like Hulk or even Infinite, they can be huge pools which can immediately shut down and win you a lane. Nothing feels better than dropping Shang-Chi on your opponent on turn 6 and wiping out all the power that they have at a location. Definitely a key card in this deck, and you can shut down high power cards which can be huge swing turns late in the game. So this is the most recent tweak we've made to the deck, bringing Enchantress in. And I think with the amount of dino decks I'm seeing at the moment, as well as other strong ongoing combos, I think she has become a must-have in this deck, and she does really well into the current meta. I love a very strategic and well-timed Professor X play. He's a great way to lock down a location on turn 5 if you've set up for it. Maybe even lock down a location where you don't even have any cards there. Sometimes in the game, there are lots of locations that pop up which might have negative effects, or you don't want to play in there immediately. I love Professor X because he's able to lock down those locations a little bit earlier on and can be a real surprise factor for your opponent. The rest of the deck is there to support the Jubilee combo or the Sunspot combo and works really well together. I think this deck does so well because it's about 75% shutting down and controlling your opponent, and 25% you have these really strong win conditions of your own. For example, like Jubilee rolling into some high cards is a great win condition that you can have, as well as just being able to play some high power late on in the game. But this whole core of the deck, the 75%, which revolves around like locking down lanes or minimizing what your opponent's doing or limiting the things that they can do in their hand, that's the strength of the deck, and I think it does really well in that sense. So if you're in Pool 2 and you have all of these cards, that's awesome. Definitely give this one a try. But if you're in pool 1 or you're in pool 2 but you don't have all these cards, don't worry, I haven't forgot about you. So I've put together a pool 1 version of the control deck which can work really well and is a ton of fun as well. The pool 1 version is actually quite different because lots of strong control cards actually come out in pool 2. In saying that, this deck does similar things to the pool 2 deck and the combos are somewhat the same as well, but there are a few key differences between the two. Korg and Yondu actually do a similar job to Iceman and Scorpion. I think Iceman and Scorpion definitely make the stronger combo of cards for sure, but Korg and Yondu do act in ways that can negatively affect your opponent's hand. Just have to be aware of Yondu, you actually make your opponent's draw a little bit stronger, just something to be aware of when you're playing him. A couple of key discard cards in this deck we have is Blade and also Swordmaster. And the reason they're in the deck is really to make sure that you're getting the most out of your Strong Guy. So Strong Guy comes in a cost 4 power, and if your hand's empty at the end of the game, then he gets plus 6 power, making him a 4/10, which is a huge push on the board. Blade and Swordmaster are there that in the final turns you can make sure that your hand is empty and get the most out of that Strong Guy on the board. Scarlet Witch we're just going to call a budget storm in this deck. The RNG factor can be a little bit disruptive at times, but if you need to flip a location or change something that's negatively affecting you, Scarlet Witch can do a decent job at that. Cosmo is actually an insane card in pool 1 because of the amount of Odin on reveal decks you see. You just want to make sure you're timing your Cosmo correctly to get the most out of him. You also just have to be a little bit careful in playing Cosmo because you have on-revealed abilities in your own deck that you don't want to stop. So just make sure you're being a little bit careful as to where you're playing it and trying to shut down those big plays from your opponent. The final card that I'll quickly call out is Spider-Woman. She's just a really good single location winner. She's got some solid power herself, and she can negatively affect the opponent's board by 4, making it a really strong push on the board at a 5/11 if you get the full value out of her. So that's it for my Pool 1 control deck. I definitely think the Pool 2 version is much stronger and does things a little bit more consistently, but if you are in Pool 1 and you're pushing through, or you're looking to sub in some cards into the Pool 2 version until you lock all of the cards, try out some of these cards. They can work really well in the deck for sure. Okay, so that wraps us up for the breakdown of this control deck. We're going to go ahead and jump into some games. As always, we're going to be at infinite rank, but also in pool 3 with max collections. So then my games might be a little bit tough, but we'll see how we go. All right, so for this one, we're going straight into New York. So not bad for us. New York's always a fine location, I think, in most games. And we got Sunspot right off the bat, so that's really good for us. And we got quite a nice curve here. Okay, so they have Sunspot too, which just makes me want to think about what we're going to be doing with Killmonger here. But I think getting Scorpion down is always going to be good. So they take one of our cards at Cable. So we could flip the raft here. It's their initiative, so if they fill it up, we could be in a little bit of trouble. But I kind of want to see if we can flip it. Okay, so it worked out. We're able to flip it here.
Wind, aid my hand.
They do have a pretty strong play here with Sunspot, but we do have Killmonger late on in the game. Man, this Widow's Bite's a bit sad. That was like a really good turn for them with the Widow's Bite. And we have no way to sneak power in there later on in the game. I think we got a Killmonger now. Makes it awkward, but I think we have to. Sandman? Sandman. Do we get away with a Professor X here in any world? Do we get away with a Professor X here? Look, I think he's going to play into here because he can move things here on turn 6, right? Maybe we get away with this? I think we just snuck it away. Thinking that one through. And like, what do we do this last turn? We just lock it down with Professor X? I guess I have a play here? Yeah, we get the retreat. That was nice. New York, like actually having New York there kind of not made him, but encouraged him to play into Necrosis because then he can move it there later on. That was just a good read with Professor X. Kind of worked out in our favor. Awesome. Let's go for another one. All right. So for this one, we're going straight into Fisk Tower. Hello. And we'll go Iceman. Okay, let's go Iceman. I think that's kind of fine. And straight into Mirror Dimension. Okay. But no turn 2 play for us. No turn 2 play for them either. So they haven't had anything on 1 or 2. So I think we can't play Killmonger here. I just don't think that's very productive for us. So wave. Look, do we try and do something cheeky with Professor X here? Hey? Lock down one of these Strange Academies, maybe. We can either lock down a Strange Academy, or we can lock down Fisk Tower. Not an easy play. I'm gonna try this. I don't know if this is gonna work. Oh, we did get a read here with the Professor X, and waving out the Professor X there was kind of huge for us. And with no cards being added there, I guess we just go in. So these are all going to move over here. So we could skip this turn and play out Infinite. Can we get more than 8 power next turn out? Potentially. Do we want to do something other than Infinite next turn? Potentially. I think I'm going to go ahead and play Hulk out. Alright, so he gets a Doctor Doom. Anyway, he fills up his location, so technically all we need to do... Oh, I forgot about Fisk Tower. That's awesome. That's awesome. So his board got decimated then. Poor guy. Strange Academy into Fisk Tower actually worked out so well for us. That was kind of lucky. But even maxing out this location, I think we had the power to beat him. I think with Chavez, we would have been able to come up over the top anyways. Unless he had something to play into Strange Academy. So do we split the difference here with a... Well, I guess the only way to do that is with these two, but I don't think that's going to be the play. So I think this is our strongest play. And we just hope he can't come over the top of this one. Claw. So he actually went for it, which was pretty cheeky. Cheeky play with the claw, but dropping the Chavez mid did it for us. Yeah, that one worked out. That was a really good move from Strange Academy to Fisk Tower that obviously he didn't think about. It worked out quite well for us though, but I think locking down the this location forced him to play Claw in the last turn. And we just had it. So there it was. Another win. Let's move on. Alright, so we go straight into the super flow in this one. So that's we don't mind ramping early with this deck for sure. Especially with Sunspot in hand. That's always nice. Let's go ahead and get Sunspot down. Does he also have a Sunspot? No, Bucky. Okay, so we're versing a Destroy deck. That's cool. Now, a really cool thing you can do with the Superflow, because so many people don't want to play into the Superflow early on, is that you can jam an early Professor X on the Superflow, which can be a game changer. What do I want to do here? Carnage doesn't make any sense. The Storm doesn't really make any sense either. We could do this to shut down this, because I think he's a Destroyer deck. So I think we Enchantress, shut down his armor. Which seems weird, but I think we can. Oh, we're actually gonna get double value here with Warpath and armor, shutting that down. So that's kind of awesome, for sure. And then I think we jam this. And then we skip and we do Infinite. We have the Sunspot Infinite thing. Let's see. Let's see if we can get this one out. Okay, so he locks that down with a Professor X, and then this is a... Okay, so this is interesting. So I think he's going to wait out for Destroyer. Which means we just skip this turn. And then we Infinite next turn. That's our play. That's our play line. Because we're assuming he's Destroyer. Okay, so he Destroyers now. So we go to 28. We go to 28. He just needs 4 power here to beat us, which is a tough one. Cosmo, we actually win it. We sneak it out with the 1 power in mid. Oh, that was such a fun game. The double Professor X plays are able to shut down a lot of what he was doing over here with that. It didn't make it much of a difference in the end, but damn, that one's awesome. That was a great game. So that's it for our updated Pool 2 control deck. We definitely had a ton of fun playing these games, as you can see. We even got some wins out, which was awesome as well. I think this deck just does really, really well in terms of countering your opponent. You've got lots of interplay and choices and decisions to make each and every game, which makes this deck a lot of fun, but also can be really successful as well. I'd definitely try this one out if you have all the cards, but even if you don't, look at the Pool 1 deck that we've suggested as the control deck for Pool 1. Even sub some of those cards in for some of the Pool 2 cards until you unlock them later on. So that's going to wrap us up for this one. Hope you enjoyed the video. We had a ton of fun making it. Hey, like the video, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. And until the next one, I'll see you then.